Welcome to the Westwoods in Wiltshire. For the first time in about 6 months, Going to Ground has returned to one of our favourite haunts over the last 3 years. We get into habits, don't we, of the places we visit, and this hasn't been the best spot for walking Effie, my Portuguese water dog, who is striding confidently ahead of me this morning, very excited to get out. And so I thought I'd bring her up here partly to see whether the bluebells, the famed Westwood bluebells, were out yet. And they're just beginning to. It'll be difficult to give you a sense of them, particularly just as they're opening up. But can you see a few of them down there? It's lovely. It's just at this, the first swelling of colour that within a week or so will have reached its peak and will be in a remarkable blue sea here. And it strikes me again coming out this morning how there is a natural arc of growth to anything that's alive. There's this sort of rising, it reaches its peak, and then the declining, fading away. It's true with anything organic, really. A song has that. A sermon even. I was talking to clergy about sermons being like an aeroplane flight. When you're preaching a sermon, you've got to take off. You've got to look at the world from above, and then you've got to land again. Especially you've got to learn how to land again, I find, with preachers. And anything alive has that natural kind of hump, that arc to it. That's a waveform of growth, gathering strength, the full realization, the summer of anything alive. He said, trying to philosophize whilst walking through an impossibly boggy puddle. You might have to bear with for a moment. Let's go into the bluebells, Effie. There they are. You get a bit of a sense of them there. And then the decline and fall, the autumn of life. And of course each stage of that arc has its own particular beauty and poignancy, anticipation, expectation in spring. The glory of summer and life at its peak, and the aching beauty of its slow decline. Even the chill of loss and of waiting on the future. Each stage has its colour, its time, and its appropriate posture, if you like. So we recognise that in anything living. And Easter comes breaking into that cycle. Just read the Easter anthems in the morning prayer service that Anglicans use, and it describes the resurrection of Christ in different passages of scripture, the Easter anthems. One of them saying, "Death has no dominion over him and over creation as a result," which flies against all the evidence, of course, to the contrary. Everything does die. We know that. Us, everything. And of course, Christ did die. And so this preposterous promise of resurrection is held to somehow call us at each stage of our life cycle, wherever we are on that arc. And of course, different parts of our life are at different parts of that all the time. Projects we're involved with might be picking up, or they might be declining. Church life might be picking up, or it might be declining if you're involved in a church. Different bits of us are either reaching their peak or falling apart. Isn't that the truth? But Easter, resurrection, breaks in with the promise of springs at each stage of the arc. I think that's what I'm trying to say this morning, is that wherever our lives, or the different aspects of our lives, are in that hill of growth and peak and decline, Easter meets us. The risen Christ met people at different stages of their own experience, and with the promise of a spring, an eternal spring, to call us forward from that point, which is not bound to the old order of sin and decay and death and decline. Only ever get glimpses. That's why it's so tantalising. The Easter hope and story. We only ever get hints of it. It's about clues. Tom McMurray once wrote a book called Jesus Christ, or he wrote it. He called it The Clue to History. It was about Christ. It's the clue to history, and all we've got are clues that make life worth living. But wherever you are at in that cycle of growth, whether the bluebells are just beginning to appear or they're in full flood or they're long past, may God bless you as you encounter resurrection. May you do so this Easter tide. Bless you as you go to ground from the Westwoods in Wiltshire. See you soon.